Adam and rubber lyrical fractures. On content, seeing contacted, just so flags soon to be bolted to system. Who knows what comes next? I've contacted the arch, musical dynasty. Once again, another set from the SABLE. Headphones set alive from the heat we supply. Voltage and high elements elevate to the sky. The rise means it's living, never shady on premiere. Cultivating, never getting ready to sound it. Dizzy tongue, fresh drop beats, elevating vinyl culture. Didn't see it coming till the force pressure most in the bus. Raw facts, true essence, though I can do a raps. We need to counteract, bring them so claps. Ignite roots, connections, fresh new projections. Innovative, creative styles, and what you blessed with.
It's on tonight. Oh, let go tonight. It's on tonight. Oh, let
So hello for everyone. Today I have the privilege of introducing one of the usos that I've known for a while now, who's making massive strides in the housing and the real estate game. I won't go too much into the detail. Obviously, we'll discuss that as we go on. But I'd like to introduce you to Pat Lapalapa. Pat, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on, Silly. My name is Pat Lapalapa. Been in real estate for 6 years now. Yeah, just happy to be on board. Yeah.
No, all good, all good. So me and Pat, we go quite a while back now. So I think I first met you at La Salle. I mean, yeah, it would have been the last year's at La Salle, and then at uni, eh?
Yeah.
So at uni, man, that's what
mutual friends there.
Yeah, but that's like 10 years ago now. You know, it's like over 10 years, eh?
Well, making me feel old. Man.
So tell me. Nah, man. Nah, that's cool, man. So, now that we're talking about uni, what did you actually study at uni?
I did a BCom. Actually no, I think I failed my last year at La Salle. Too much being a gut and a boipi. So yeah, I ended up doing a foundation cert in my first year, just to try and get into BCom. I did my first year into BCom, but kind of got cut short. So I think most of the Islander families will sort of identify when you need to step out of uni and support the family. Had to go into a full-time role. Started working at a restaurant out in Ponsonby. It was like a takeaway restaurant, but yeah, no, I was working there for a few years and then moved into work and income out in Papakura.
Oh, nice.
And then just took the plunge and jumped into real estate after that.
Oh, me. Oh, we'll talk more about and go into more detail regarding it anyway. But
Yep.
So man, how's the year been so far? Like 2020 is obviously with COVID and how's things with you? How's things with family?
Definitely, 2020 has been one of the craziest roller coasters I've been on, and I think that's probably the best way to describe everyone's sort of 2020. It's been a massive roller coaster, up and downs straight from that Feb period all the way onwards. But I think what I've seen is everyone's, I think, gone harder than ever straight after that first lockdown, just to improve themselves as a person. I think it's given everyone like time to reflect on where they're heading on in their journey. Likewise with you.
Yeah.
And everyone else with their families, everyone's trying to make moves now, because who knows what 2021 is going to bring in and so forth. But in real estate, family wise, it's definitely been some great celebrations, some good milestones. We managed to secure our second place a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
Especially in a crazy market like Auckland, but family's good. Parents are still well. Same as Tina's family.
Yep.
Tina's my partner, sorry, yeah. But other than that, family's been good. Trying to make some weight loss time now. So we're going to focus on the health, not just the wealth.
No, that's good, man. It's good that you touched on that. Yeah, I think I'm a bit of the same when it comes to that, with that regards. Like what I've seen in terms of people like coming out of COVID, like you touched on. Yeah, everyone's on a different journey, but at the same time, yeah, they'll like if I put it into perspective, ever since like we left uni, all we've known is just work, give back, and obviously like look to build your own career with whatever job that you've gotten. But and say like we touched on earlier, like it's been like 10 plus years, and you know, like there's people out there who've been in the working industry for longer. But what I'm saying is that, or what I'm trying to allude to, sorry, is the fact that like we've never had a pause, like or never had our life being paused, like what COVID did this year, and like there was a lot of time to like think back. With me and my family, like my parents were stuck in the islands, so that was the first time that I got to like spend time with my siblings properly, like spend time with their kids and spend time with our kids, and it would be like just getting used to just waking up and going to sleep with the kids around, and like them waking up and not having to see us go to work and just spending the day. So I think that was probably one of my highlights with COVID. Like it's just got time to reflect and time to spend, or time to like spend quality time, you know, with the family and stuff. So that's me, man. Where did you guys secure your property?
Maguia Le Aso.
Hey, Maguia Le Aso, nice. And
Yeah.
So you said you had 2 properties, and what was the first one?
First one's in Otara. I actually bought the family home back in 2011, so I've owned it for a while.
Yep.
Didn't understand the process of what I was doing back then. Kind of just went in blindly, but I think it was almost a blessing in disguise. I think the most common thing that I always hear from people is, I wish I bought last year, I wish I bought the year before, or I wish I bought 5 years ago. I remember back in 2011, like I was thinking the same thing. I wish I bought back in the recession back in 2008, because prices were a lot lower. But the one thing that I always tell people is, you're always gonna say that same thing, and everyone's probably thinking it right now. Whoever's out in the market trying to buy. I definitely had that encounter this year as well, buying our second one. That same house probably last year probably would have been 100k, 150k less. But it's all relevant to the time, I suppose. Yeah,
that's it. It's just one of those things. Hindsight is like a blessing and a curse, eh?
Yeah.
Like honestly, like looking back at stuff you wish you didn't do, but then, you know, like I said, like in terms of, or like you pointed out, sorry, was especially with the housing market, like a lot of people that I've known who've sold their houses probably, you know, haven't really have been just waiting for an opportunity like this to actually buy, and obviously and then some people looking to sell off their houses as well. So no, it's hindsight is a good thing, and like I said, a blessing and a curse. But 100%. Yeah, no, sweet, man. So how's things with you and Tina? Like I know you guys have been together for a while now. And I think you guys are like your own little power couple, I guess. So Tina's been in the air for quite a while, and then obviously you making moves within the real estate industry. How's things with you two?
Yeah, it's good. Being self-employed, like going into or taking that plunge with no sort of guarantee of income, Tina's been real good from the start, like to support me through that first sort of couple of years. Because without that support, it's quite difficult to not have a stable income. So that's one thing that's definitely helped push, but it's also pushed me in my first couple of years as well. If I don't provide bread and butter on the table, then shucks, looks like we're just eating saimingi and
and mussies.
Yeah, mussies. Nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with it, man.
Still Meagering fan all day, but Tina's good. With COVID this year, it's been a bit of a battle. Tina's a flight attendant for Jetstar at the moment, so I know she's got this month off, but it's been a bit of a battle, but I'm glad I can jump in now and try and support her from my end. Other than that, we're good. Yeah, no, that's awesome. How long have you guys been together now? For a while now. Yeah, for a while now. Yeah. 16 years. 16 years. Should we just edit that off? That's wrong. Yeah. I'll double check after this. No, all good. Fact check. No, we've been in for a while. Oh man, like for me myself, watching you guys grow as a couple, I mean, like through social media, man, it's like for me, I envy it a lot, especially with like obviously not during COVID times, but when the borders were open, man, you guys done some traveling.
Awesome traveling, and like
Yeah.
the photos and the videos you guys post up.
Yeah.
Oh man, like for me myself, I'm just like, dang, man, like. But then again, at the same time, it's like, put in the work, get the treats, and it always helps that she's part of the flight industry as well. So
Yeah, get discounts.
yeah, because like that's one of the main reasons why us brown brothers aren't traveling as much, is like just to get to the destination.
Yeah, the airfares alone are expensive.
Yeah, that's the good thing of the work. One of the bad things about being in New Zealand is that you're so far from the world that it costs a whole lot more just to get there. But yeah, man, what's one of your highlights with you and Tina in terms of traveling?
Traveling wise, I think our probably favorite trip was when we went to the States and Mexico for about 6 weeks. But Cancun was the best place. But
Live up to its reputation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think we would have done as much traveling if she wasn't in the flight industry. Like, no matter how much we would have been making, I'm quite stingy when it comes to that stuff. Like, I hate like spending like too much money, and if I feel like, oh nah, it's not worth it, we're not gonna spend the money. But it's also me being like a avid like saver as well. So I'm the Tina's the more spontaneous one. I'm more of the we got to plan it 6 months out. We got to make sure we do this properly.
Yep.
But when it comes to like traveling, like I just want to make sure we've got enough money to have a really good time there. But yeah, if she wasn't working, that's probably why she's still working there.
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh, should I do something? I was like, nah, just stay there. It's all good.
Ladies and gentlemen, balance is key. Balance is key. That's awesome, man. Shout out to Tina. I've known her for a while as well, and I think you guys make a good mix, because she's like you said, she's the more spontaneous and out there, and you're the more reserved one.
Yeah.
When you're sober, but
but
we've had some.
Just read the Bible.
We've had some weed. Oh man. The last time I had a drink with you was Jono's Stag. Or like a mean.
Oh yeah.
We got hammered, and but it was a mean night because like it was just like those are the best nights, the ones you don't plan. But all I remember was jumping out of a taxi, and then it was, and all I could see was like the Sky Tower on one end, and then like a set of stairs on the end, and then just following Pat. And bro, like that's all I remember. And then I just woke up.
Just me and you that ended up in Zelda.
Yeah, it was just me and you, and like it wasn't like late as well. It was just everyone else was already gone, and then it was only me and you that were still like walking around. And then all I remember was just waking up, and I was at home, and I was like, holy crap, how did I get home? And then I went to go look for my phone to go message you to see if you got home okay.
Yeah.
And I lost my phone as well, so that wasn't a good night. But man, we've had some good drink ups. So
some good times.
Yeah, so good times. So your family house that's out in Otara Waimanali.
Yep.
So there's a massive connection in terms of yourself with obviously with the house, but with the Otara community altogether. What was that like growing up, man?
It was different because I was actually raised down in Wanganui. Oh, Whanganui now. So I actually grew up majority of my childhood down in Wanganui or Whanganui. So coming up, I think I came up for my last year in primary, but straight after that I went straight into, I already spent a couple of years at St. Joe's in Otahu. We got to St. Joe's in Otahu as well. Majority of my family went to that school, my cousins, or my first cousins, and then straight away went to La Salle for year 7 all the way to year 13. Obviously year 13 wasn't a great year, but it is what it is. And then I think that's when I met you and the rest of the boys, the CNC boys.
What was
the boys? They all good?
Yeah, they're all good, man, and probably need to get them on and talk with them about some banter and stuff.
Oh,
but,
that'll be good. I'll be keen to see that episode.
Yeah, definitely. So so you moved up intermediate and moved into Tara, or the year before intermediate?
Nah, my dad was still up in Auckland, but I stayed down with my mum and my siblings down in Wanganui for a bit, and my dad was still up here. And then we moved back up into Auckland when I was, I think I would have been like 9.
Yep.
Yeah, about 9, 10. and then went into my last couple of years at St. Joe's, and then straight into La Salle. But no, other than that, yeah, it's without those small movements, I think, and that's for anyone, without those parts or those events that have taken in your life, like that time we ended up in town, that could have shaped where we are today. I think every small event, like throughout life, you might have those hindsight ones where you look back and like, oh, I can't believe I did that, or I can't believe I spent that much, or I can't believe I ended up in town, or something like that. But they actually shape who you are today. And yeah, don't regret anything.
No, that I think having that mindset is healthy, especially for us islanders. I wouldn't say we're stingy, but it's more so we're conservative with our money, and just with our mindset is conservative. You know, we try. We've grown up in this culture where it's always like it's never about how can it benefit just us as an individual, but it's us as a collective. So
that's the one.
Yeah. So like on it, the reason why I touch on that is just the memories that you make with Tina as well. Like I said, I envy that kind of stuff, and it's because, you know, like it's it is a whole lot of money, but some things you just can't pay, or you can't what do you call it? You can't buy. It's just those memories, and like
100%.
Like you said, man, Cancun, man, that's, you know, everyone knows what the parties are like, or just from watching those TV shows, and just the whole scenery in itself. But like, you know, it's one thing to visualize it through, and see it through the TV, but, and it's a whole different game when you're actually there physically. So, mad respect to you for.
Well, thanks, also. Yeah. I heard it's pretty dangerous there now, so can't say I'd recommend it 100% right now. But back then, we went there about 2-3 years ago now. But there was another place, Tijuana, that we went to in Mexico. That's probably a place I won't recommend. If there's like a least recommended place. Unless you're taking like one of your family members or your cousins or friends from the States. Yeah, that you're familiar with. Because we went there for one day and we were being followed. I think they target tourists. And me being the naive tourist, like, taking photos everywhere. We ended up being followed, and then my cousin, who's staying out in San Jose, he came with us. So no, it was good. He came because I think he recognized straight away that we were being followed by a couple of dudes, and then he told us to duck into one of the bars where they had like a security bouncers out the front. And those guys tried to follow us in. And then obviously the guys must have done the pat down with them, because they did the pat down to us as well. And then told them they had to stay outside because I don't know what they were carrying, but every time I would like quickly just look into my peripheral vision, I'll just see them following us. So it was quite freaky, but at the same time, we ended up having a good night there. Oh, Mexico is like that, I guess. Anywhere's like that. Everywhere has their bad bad spots. You know, there's Mangry. Nah, Mangry. Shout out to Mangry. Shout out to Mangry. It's changed. It's changed now. Oh, right. South Auckland's changed. South Auckland's changed, man. It's, you know, everyone needs to look down on us, but man, don't sleep on us. We're coming. We're coming. So just with COVID as well, like, you know, like you said, you're a self-employed man. What was that like? Obviously, the housing market was like still booming, and there was still a lot of uncertainty as well in terms of, I think, from my research that I've done in terms of the housing market, just who was going to be in government as well was going to be a massive factor in terms of like buying houses and stuff. So what was that like for yourself as a self-employed real estate agent? Scary. We were doing I think a lot of companies were doing the Zoom sessions every day, but it was good because we got to sort of sharpen the sword and how we approach the rest of 2020. But at the same time, I think deep down I was actually I was quite fearful for what's going to happen for the rest of the year. Was the market going to crash? Were interest rates going to tank? What was going to happen? All the predictions that all the economists were coming out with, on average, were between 10 to 20%. And then for us coming out of COVID, to see the complete opposite, yeah, shucks. Just kind of makes you think like, oh, I don't think anyone can predict what's going to happen. Like, even the best economists in the whole of New Zealand, for them to try and predict that like 10 to 15 or 20% drop,
Yeah.
it just makes you think no one can control the market, no one can control demand. But I think a massive influence would have been interest rates with the bank, would have been the biggest factor. LVR rules. LVR is loan to value ratio. So if you buy a property, you put down a, say for example, 10-20% deposit, and then you loan 80%, and that's the amount that you pay back. Because of COVID, Reserve Bank, which controlled the majority of that, it's not government, that's Reserve Bank, they're at their own industry, or they're their own entity. So for them to come back and say, we're scrapping the LVR rules, which is the loan to value ratio, it affected a lot of home buyers that wanted to buy with a less than 20% deposit, 10% or even 5%. In some scenarios, it kind of pushed the market to a point where there was so much more demand. And then I read this other article that came out in New Zealand Herald. We had just over 80,000 expat Kiwis come back into the country. Sold a few of them to expat Kiwis who were coming over from Europe, so it was quite surprising to see like a lot of these Kiwis that are coming back into the country and they're trying to buy a property. So if you've got that many Kiwis coming back into Auckland or New Zealand, it's bound to give somewhere. And with all those factors affecting, the market's gone crazy this year.
It's gone crazy, man. And is there any fear of it being like a bubble where it's just obviously it's gonna eventually burst?
I've heard the bubble theory, but I think if you look back, and I was reading this one of the economists, Alexander, he comes on, you'll see him on TV3 and TV1 all the time, but he had quite a good theory as well. Like there is no sort of theoretic bubble. You'll probably see that in the States or different markets around the world, but New Zealand or Auckland is its different market altogether. The biggest drop that we've ever seen across New Zealand has been on average around 5% drop, and that was back in 2008. That was the recession that hit. And you're looking at about 5% on average around New Zealand. Obviously the regional areas always normally get hit first, was one of his main points, but Auckland has been quite steady with its rising in prices. And if you take that into account, I see a lot of people, they're like, oh, now I'm going to wait for it to crash. Yeah, it's like waiting for something that might not ever come.
Yeah, it's unpredictable, man. And it's, even if you're solid with your numbers, you like, during that recession period, I feel like New Zealand was still okay, or maybe because we were still maybe young and still studying, but it didn't seem to have the drastic impacts that it had compared to like what we saw in America and saw overseas. And maybe just because New Zealand wasn't I guess a significant player in the global market at the time. It's a whole lot more different now. I think with all the international trades that New Zealand has become, or trade organizations that New Zealand has been a part of, I feel like it's a bit more easier to get impacted by the overseas markets and globalization altogether. So the thing is with me, in terms of the Reserve Bank, during this time, I think the government probably helped to bail out the banks and the Reserve Bank to allow for all of that stuff to happen. And it's so it's funny to me because it's like, during this time of when we're expected to experience a financial struggle, like, man, you've got like brilliant thinkers out there who are just like prepared for it, because it's like, man, like, like, I wouldn't say the government's prioritizing thinking about the real estate agents, but they're more like, man, how do we keep the banks happy? How do we keep the Reserve Bank happy? But like, and then like indirectly, it's helping you guys as well. Like, it's keeping you guys on your feet. And like you said, man, like during a crisis like this, just to have the market like go the other way from
The
what was
complete
predicted.
opposite direction, yeah.
And like, you know, they were predicting what, 15-20%.
Yep.
And the market's like gone probably 30-40%
Yeah, I'd say
the other way.
yeah,
It's crazy.
40% the other way.
And it, like you said, the LVRs have helped a lot, and the return of heaps of those expat Kiwis, I think with COVID as well, like during these times of uncertainty, they would have realised from the first lockdown, man, New Zealand held it down really well.
Really
so
well.
all of them are like, oh man, like,
Go back home.
yeah, I want to go back
Yeah.
home. And you know, like when you're looking from overseas and you'll see New Zealanders sort of resume some sort of normality in its life, man, like why wouldn't you want to come back, right?
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. And no, it's sweet, man. I'm just happy that because there is a lot of people that are we call it self-employed. They probably didn't have it as good as you did, man. But it's still good to see you on your feet, still doing well, man. We'll talk more about your career, man. So what led you to getting into the real estate game?
Yeah. My friend actually, who I work with at Work and Income in Papakura, her name's Kiri. So she's still heavily involved in the real estate industry, but she's not. She's sort of taken a seat back. She's taken more of a sort of full-time mother role now. So, what's up, Kiri? Hope you're well. She actually talked me into doing the course with her. So we ended up going to Unitech. For those that don't know, it's not a bachelor or it's not a extensive degree that you'd have to get. It's a real estate salesperson certificate that you'd be going out for. Normally takes on average about 3 months for people. You can do it correspondence-wise through Skills Update and Open Poly. You can take your time at those, but I normally say on average it takes people like 3 months to get the certificate. The certificate part's not the difficult part for sure. That's the easy part to get into real estate. I think the hardest part is actually staying in, because when people enter the industry, the turnover rate, majority of those people that normally join, I've seen probably just in the last sort of 6 months, I've seen I'd say about 8 agents that have stepped into the industry just in my office. And out of those 8, I think I only see half or 50% of them left and just in that short amount of time, because it is a long time to go without income and to be commission based only. If you don't sell a house, you don't get paid. And the other thing is, and the common misconception, which I sort of found out the hard way too, is your office doesn't actually give you the listings. You actually have to go out there and find the listings for yourself. So that might involve knocking on doors for 3-4 hours a day, picking up the phone book and just calling a whole lot of randoms, only just to be told to fuck off or, oh, sorry.
No, you're right, you're
It's
right.
PG. Oh.
No, you're right, man.
Piss off or, yeah, I had a lot of FUs and F-bombs thrown around, but I mean, for me, it was one more no to a yes. So that's the way I always saw it. Same as door knocking, cold calling. I had my family and
So
Tina's
you were
family.
those annoying guys that
Yeah,
bloody...
I was those. It was funny because I made it into
Did you have an Inkia accent as well when you called?
Yeah, it was Tika, Angie.
Oh, no. Okay.
Was that me?
No, we because like my parents owned the property and like it was a lot of Inkias around the time that you got into the game, eh? Just calling non-stop, and we'll be like, man, we told you no, but it's the hustle, eh?
Yeah. Man, respect to the Inkia people, man. Like, man, their hustle game is another level.
Yeah.
They'll go out there, they'll knock on those doors. So, and the one thing I always tell people, like, because I was never a big door knocker. For me, my thing was letter dropping. I'd go out and I remember in my first 2 weeks, I think we dropped off like 4,000 letters just to around Mangere, Manurewa, Otara, and that was me, my family, and Tina's family that were helping me out. So the kids will come out and I would just buy them lunch, or if I had any money, that's if I had any money, but back then, so we'll all go out and just drop off letters, and then I'll quickly rush home after dropping off letters and then get in, change into my suit, and then head out to my appointments that I'd already booked all the appraisals for the listings, So I was going in between both, trying to make sure I can generate enough business or generate enough leads to get a listing. From the listing, you sell the listing, then you get the commission, obviously. But that's the part that you don't see on like social media, and I think that's for any industry. They don't see the hard work that's gone behind the scenes. They only see the successes that you've made along the way. But man, I remember I was talking to one of my mates yesterday. We had our Christmas function yesterday, and he was just like, "Oh, how was your first year?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was good." And I was like, "But it was struggle street, big time." I remember one of the first houses I sold. It was pretty funny because I think I called my dad because my car broke down. But I had this like bomb. But yeah, I think I ran out of gas, and not only that, my battery was like on to the point where I needed a new one. But nah, it's just still try to revive that car for as long as possible. But finished an auction, sold a property, and then went to go start my car. I was all happy, and then so yeah, it was a bit that's the struggles that people don't see. And I think that goes for you too. It was same as you and your family, and just anyone, they only see the good side on social media, but the work that's gone in behind it, like hours, days, months, years.
But that's like you said, man, that's like within any industry. I think we spoke about it before we even started recording, but it's like everyone loves the company car, man. Everyone loves the fancy suit. Everyone loves the lunches and the rewards that you get from, doing really well at your job. But yeah, see, like you said, man, let me just highlight on that, that's 4,000 letters into different mailboxes right across South Auckland. And then at the same time, like that could be like your morning grind. Then, your appointments, so you have to rush back home, get ready. And like even that in itself is like you're so focused on sending those letters that when you come back and change, you have to flip your mindset. It's so hard. Like it might be easy for people. Like what people don't understand, like the concept of socializing, that's easy. But trying to win someone over in terms of a sale, trying to, especially the community that you're servicing, right? You're doing South Auckland. Predominantly South Auckland is filled with a lot of Pacific Islanders, and most of those people, the houses that they stay in, that's their dream and their goals, right? And like, I'm not saying that's anything bad to still hold on to a house, but even if you're looking to sell your house or upgrade, like most of our old people, like they've got the sentimental like attachment to the whole property, and so like just for those that are watching, like that just shows the grind of not only Pat but the people that are in the real estate agents who are staying within the industry within South Auckland, man. It's a different kind of grind. Like you can like most of the people like outside of South Auckland, when they want to sell, they come looking for you. Out here in South Auckland, it's like trying to convince them this is the best time, and then trying to also convince them that like maybe they've come across some crooked people along their pathways, but trying to convince them that, man, this is the best financial decision for them, even if they don't know it. But like, man, mad respect to you, man.
I think what's really worked for me well in the industry is the trust factor, and that's been, I think, always been my best part of my my grind from my first year. Even though like those clients can't see that I'm actually like really struggling financially back then in my first year, but for me, I still try to make sure that their needs came first. So I'll give you an example. I met like a lot of, and I do see them targeted, and it's not everyone. There's always going to be a few bad eggs in any industry. Met a lot of sort of Samoan elderly families or elderly couples who have been told, oh, you should sell, this is a good time to sell, you'll get this much in your bank account. But what they don't take into account is, okay, what's our plan B, what's our plan C? I'll step into those scenarios, and then they'll get me to do an appraisal with them. And it was awesome to see, because sometimes in those scenarios I'll tell them, actually no, if you sell, that's actually the worst case scenario for you. And I always tell them, like especially with the elderly Samoans, always get your kids involved. That I know like there's some real proud parents out there, or stubborn dads or mums, especially in the Samoan community. They're quite stubborn, but I always recommend just bring your kids along, get them to those meetings that might involve your lawyer or might involve that real estate agent or your bank. Just get your kids along so they can maybe have a different perception or have a better understanding. Especially with my parents, like they've made some decisions in their life where I wish I was there. I could have maybe influenced them to make a different decision. So in those scenarios where I've come in with those elderly families, like I'll just tell them, oh, can you call your kids?
Yeah.
Can you bring them into the meeting? That way you're more comfortable, and if you have any questions or if they have any questions, I always want them to step in, because I want to make sure that they've made the right decision, and I don't want their kids to come back and say, or think like what I would be thinking. I wish I had told my mum and dad.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have did this, or maybe the kids could have bought the house and they could have kept it in the family. Those kind of scenarios. So that has worked well for me from my first year. Building that trust, building those relationships, and what it's done is now like my business is, I don't have to drop off the 4,000 letters anymore. I still do prospecting, but a lot of those clients now refer me to their friends and their family members, because they know I've always looked after their best
Interests.
best
Nice.
interests. So if you are looking to get into the industry, 100%, if you're gonna do anything, just look after your clients' needs, do the right thing.
Yep. It's all about service, man. Like,
That's it.
that's the best way to grow a business. You know, once you've done one customer and done them good, and obviously they're over the moon with the way you've treated them, but as well as the service you've provided, man, word of mouth, especially within
Word of
your
mouth.
industry, man. And like, it's funny, man, because like I said, like within our own Pacific community, man, like, yeah, word of mouth is massive, you know, like the weight of your word or what you have to say carries so much leverage. So that's awesome for you to it's awesome for me to see how well you've gone about, especially like you haven't branched off into different areas, or maybe you have, but I know like you're always working, and especially within your industry, within our community, like always looking to do the best for our Pacific people. And like you said, you know, there are some bad eggs out there that are, I wouldn't say exploiting, but there was a period out there when people were obviously not looking after the interests of their client. For example, I think there was a guy like that got imprisoned like probably 2 years ago, the one that sold it to his business trust, and then he done it up and then sold it again for like crazy amount of profit.
I think double the price.
Yeah, double the price.
I don't know, Mount Wellington.
Honestly, see, not too far from here, man. And like that's just a case that got pulled up, but like I've known quite a few people.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it is a hustle, it is a grind, and I've seen people, you know, like get
Greed gets the best of people.
greed gets the best of people, and at the same time, like people who are making calls upon other people, and just for the sake of them getting their commission.
Yep.
Because, you know, they walk away, and then that family is left with, you know, probably not as much. Left with probably, you know, left the table, leaving probably 100, 200 grand there to start, you know, building on their other dream housing prospects and stuff like that. But man, that's the.
I think what I'd love to see is like more Polynesian people get into the real estate industry. If you look at it, like I remember when I first started, I think there were only like 3 or 4 other Islander agents. Got guys like Charlie Brothers, William Via, some other old timers, but they're not in the industry anymore. But those are like probably the only main Islander guys that were around. But now I'm starting to see a lot more Islander agents into the industry, and that's good to see. Always here if you guys need to call me.
Yeah.
Always happy to help. Like those guys, I'm always happy to. Like I've linked up with a few of my mates that work out west as well. Always just catch up for coffee, catch up for lunch. Happy to just.
Who cares about those west side guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nah, But yeah, again, like if you're looking to get into the industry, there's no like whether it's right or wrong for you. I could never tell you whether it's going to be like that. You already know it's commission based only. It's just whether you want to take the plunge, but only you can sort of answer that question, whether you're going to put the hard work behind it. Yeah.
No, that's awesome advice. With like how you pointed out that like obviously that's just within this year only. The amount of people that actually stay within the industry or join the industry and then quickly leave. Well, what is one of the main reasons for obviously the turnover? But like saying for like expiring, a person that's wants to dominate the housing industry or the real estate industry, what's like some advice for them, like in terms of making sure that they don't like
when you're just before you get in, try and save at least, like if you've got a mortgage or if you've got rent, just try and save at least 3 months rent or income, or make sure you've got like at least your partner who's working full time, got a stable income. If you've got kids, just make sure you've saved enough income to support yourself. If you need to go on a mortgage holiday, then sort that out with the banks prior. Just try and organise something, be organised before you get in. Like for myself, I did my real estate cert. I didn't jump in straight after. I kept working for a year. I had a mortgage back then, so I saved enough mortgage payments to cover at least 6 months for me, because back then the market obviously was slightly different. But when I first got into the sort of interview stage with the different companies, basically I was told was you might not make a sale in your first 6 months, you might not make a sale at all in your first 12 months. So those are things that I had to take into account. And if I didn't do well in my first 6 months, at least I gave it a good crack.
Yeah.
And then obviously I can go back and look at full-time employment again. But yeah, I definitely recommend try at least save enough income for at least 3 months. If you can do 6 months, that'd be even better. But yeah, just making sure you've got enough support behind you to carry on so you can stay in the industry. Yeah, I'm still learning even through my 6th year. Service level's always been the same, I never change.
Yeah.
Because that consistency is key. Because then if you start to drop on your service levels, you'll be surprised at how like that goes for any industry. Like you're like, oh no, he's not that good anymore. He used to be good when he first started, but not anymore. Their quality has dropped. So it's just being consistent with that, because you're in for the long game, not like a short-term game. But the rewards definitely there. You just have to obviously do the mahi.
Yeah. No, you got it. No, I think that's what I've learned as well, like and just from the different projects that I've worked on or that I've got to be a part of, especially for any like business owner or for anyone that's self-employed, 3 months is the minimum that you have to at least save and try and that's like a backup, like a fund while things aren't working. What was the first 6 months like for you when you first started?
The first 6 months, like my first year was actually quite good.
Oh, nice.
But like I know my first year I did 28 sales over that first 12-month period. But that's when my health sort of took a toll, because I was more focused on the wealth side, working 70 plus hours a week, 7 days a week, didn't stop. I'd say over that sort of 5-year period or 4-year period, I think it's the most weight I've gained. I went up to, I think I gained like 40 kgs.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, 40 kgs. But that it does take a toll. But if you sort of try and have that balance, that was probably one of my biggest mistakes. But my first year did 28 sales, so I did really well in my first year. Then second year just grew from strength from strength. So on average, I think my second year I did 40 houses, and then the third year that was my biggest. Then I did 50, and then the fourth year I did 64.
Nice.
Last year was my year of trying to feel out different methods.
Yeah.
So last year was, I'd say, more my strategic year. How am I going to focus my business? Because the only way you can do that is by sort of stepping back and analyzing your own business.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good time for me to reflect, learn different techniques, how I can improve it. So last year I'd say I think I did 37, so it's a massive drop,
Yep.
but still like got the income going. So, and then this year I've done just after COVID, I think from July to now I've done 38 as of yesterday.
Nice.
So that's just within that sort of 5-6 month period. So
And with a shortened year.
yeah, a shortened year. So I'm looking to do double the numbers come the next 6 months, because our financial year starts from July.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So we count year by year from July. So not even the first 6 months, and managed to do 38 as of yesterday.
Nice, that's awesome. Sorry, I just wanted to bring up how you're trying to get like more PIs within the industry, and you've started like a little like group. What's it called? South Auckland's
Mangry first.
Mangry First. Sorry, my bad. Mangry First. Yeah, and I saw it's four of you.
Yep.
Four of you brown brothers. Talk a little bit about that, and what was the inspiration behind that, and how's that coming along so far?
Yeah, all four of us, we've all known each other in the industry. Like, the other three is William Via, who I know has been one of the longest ones out of us. He's been in the industry for about 8 years. I'd be the second experienced one with 5 going on to 6 years now. The next one down would be Bob Lemalu. He worked with me back at Harcourts. He'd be just 1 year under me, and then Xavier Tofilo. So they're three other PI agents that I really look up to in the industry, and was real keen to do a little bit of a collab, but we're still individual agents.
Yep.
We just want to work collectively together. We open up a new office in March. The fit out should be done. Do you know where Warden Ave is?
Warden and that.
So you know where they have the Mangry Town Centre markets?
Yep.
So we're opening up an office, and it's just facing right directly to the Mangry markets.
Oh, is
The
that
flea
where
market. You know where the birth centre is?
Yeah.
Just right next to it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's
So we're looking to open up there.
Mm.
Predominantly focusing on South Auckland still. But yeah, we're going to be based out in Maguia, so it's going to be the first Maguia. It's going to be the first real estate office in Maguia.
Nice, that's awesome, man. Let me know if you need some people to do your fit outs for your place. I work in that industry as well, and I can help you out with getting you the material, but I can put you through to some good guys that are on the same journey as well, like trying to create their own and establish their own pathway within their own industry. So let me know, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I know most of some of my customers are return customers. They do all the hardcourts, and they do all the red lights
true.
as well. Yeah,
Nice.
So like, because obviously,
Signage. Like sun.
no, the actual like the fit
Oh,
outs
the materials.
No, the fit outs within the
The actual building.
offices.
Oh,
Because
nice.
like they try to make sure that it matches the layout for every.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like some of them get multiple contracts just going around and building the same stuff.
Yeah.
So let us know
for us. Yeah, for sure.
No, definitely, man. But that's awesome, man. Being the first real estate branch within Maguia as well. But it's funny, like the amount of signs you see, you'd think there'll be like something already in Maguia itself. So no, that's awesome. That's small but massive strides for you and the Usos there. What's the kind of goal that you guys are looking to establish within Mangry itself, or within the little collective that you guys have started up?
We just want to service our community better. What we've started is we're doing this Family in Need program.
Nice.
So the Family in Need program is, and we need more people to sort of nominate families as well, but we get a lot of nominations from people. So what we do is we do $300 towards grocery shopping, and we take one of the nominated families, and then we go and drop off groceries to them. You can check that out on Mangry First, Railway Mangry First, on Facebook. We've been doing it since October. So every week we'll drop off X amount of groceries to a family. We don't take pictures of the families. We don't want to obviously put them in that sort of limelight. And it's not for gloating. We just want to get awareness out there that we're here to help as well. We've had a lot of our investors step on as well. We've got a couple of investors that are looking to take on 3 families next week for their Christmas period.
Nice.
So it's because it's something that we can actually give back to the community. Can't just keep taking. Gotta have to give back somehow. So if you have any other families, or if you know any families that are in the Mangere area or Mangere East, just hit us up, send us a message. We're keen to go and drop off some groceries and just help them during that Christmas period.
No, it's awesome. That's awesome to see the different kind of ways that you're looking to, well, not just yourself, but you and the Usos are looking to give back to our community, especially being out here in South Auckland. I just wanted to talk more about obviously the process itself. Obviously you being a real estate agent in terms of purchasing the house.
Yep.
I say for me, if I'm looking to buy a house, like there's probably a lot of people that would be watching today that probably would love an insight from your perspective, as well as because you've purchased 2 properties.
Yep.
Like the perspective of the buyer. What are the steps that they need to go through? What is the process? What's the start point?
Yep.
And then obviously what's led up all the way to when you obviously go to market or go to purchase the house itself.
Yep. So I think the first step is identifying like a team that you have behind you. So what I mean by a team is you need a lawyer. You'll need a good agent to assist, because they'll give you advice around specific types of properties, whether it falls within your price range. They'll be able to give you an idea. A building inspector or a building friend. I do recommend getting a licensed building inspector, and just having your mortgage broker or your bank manager, or your mobile mortgage manager. Don't just go to the bank and then deal with anyone that's there. I would recommend making sure that you've got either a mortgage broker or a specific mobile mortgage manager from that specific brand or bank. Once you've got those 4 guys ready, you'll be able to go in with the purchase side. The first step is the lending, the finance side. You can't buy a house without lending unless you've got $1 million sitting in your bank account. If you're one of those guys, then yeah, give me a call. Give me a call. So the first step is finance, getting your pre-approval, because then now you know what budget you're buying within. If you've been given $5 or 500,000 or 600 or $1 million, now you know, okay, cool, this is what I can afford up to. Now what are my requirements? 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom. Okay, cool, I need a minimum of a 3 or 4-beddy. Okay, now I need to look at location, which areas can I buy in? Those are the key questions that you sort of need to identify. But at each step, that team that you built when you first started, now you've got that team ready behind you. The broker's already sussed your finance. You know what you can buy up to. You know what conditions you have on your pre-approval before you go and make an offer on a property. You've got your agent who's going to sort of guide you. Okay, with a budget like that, you're possibly looking around Mangere or your Papatoi, or if you've got that $5 million budget, then Ponsonby or Rivera. But then once you've got that sussed, your agent will advise you, okay, best location, what you can get for your money, what are your realistic goals, what are you trying to get. Your third part is your building inspector and your lawyer. Before you make an offer, obviously you can have it subject to your lawyer looking through it and a building inspection report, because it's always good to have that peace of mind. The last thing you want to do is go and buy a house and then realize, oh man, I've got all these issues with the property. Sometimes you don't have to do a building inspection report. If you're experienced, if you're buying it as an investment property, you might just do it without a building inspection report. But if you're a first home buyer, those are the 4 people that you want to have in your corner. If you don't have many contacts that can cover all 4 sides, give me a call. Doesn't matter which area you're in inside Auckland. Can definitely recommend some people to you. But yeah, that's the team that you need, because you got your team there.
Yeah. Sweet. So I'm in the process as well of looking to purchase first home. Obviously, Pat's been a massive help for me as well. Cool. So yeah, that's the process. And so obviously, when you go ahead and you find your place, how long does it actually take for it to become your place?
Yep. So there are negotiations. Might depend on if someone's living in the property, they might need a certain time frame to move out by. But your finance building report or your LIM report conditions, LIM report's the report that you get from council to make sure everything's permitted, just in case there's houses where they've gone and built another house with no permit, because that affects your finance too. So it normally takes on average about 10 working days to get all those conditions sussed. So, or you can buy at auction. Just remember, auction is cash unconditional. You can't put any conditions in there. You're taking the risk, and every time you put your hand up, if that hammer drops, then you've bought it cash. So those are the risks that you need to sort of go over, but we can touch on that in more detail. On average, 10 working days for it to go unconditional. So put an offer, unconditional, and then settlement. Unconditional is when you've satisfied your building report, your LIM, your finance, everyone's happy, your whole team's happy. Cool, I declare unconditional now. Then you pay a deposit to secure the house. Then you move in say 4 weeks time. So you're looking on average 10 working days for that sold period. And then you've got another maybe 4 weeks to move in. If you've got a rental, just make sure you give your 21 days notice to your landlord, or if you're fixed agreement, just double check that you're not fixed in for another year or two. Otherwise, you might move into your next house or your first house,
And you're still
paying rent to another landlord for X amount of months or days. So yeah, just making sure you cross your T's and dot your I's.
So what's the obviously what are some different scenarios or situations that come up during that process? I know one thing that that you bumped into, or that you just mentioned, was the building report. So what are some situations like that where say like if there's a set price and then something comes back that's a problem, or it's obviously that wasn't considered in an initial agreement? Or what happens in that situation?
So the best advice would be from your lawyer. They'll make 2 recommendations. Either you can try and reduce the price, or you can get that owner to fix it. You just have to remember that owner might not even fix it, or they might not even agree to reduce their price. So you have to get ready for that to come back as well. But your lawyer will normally make recommendations. If it's small issues, just normal wear and tear, then there's potential for it to not reduce the price, or they might not even care whether they fix it or not. LIM report, if there's anything unpermitted, you have to remember, for your bank to give you money to buy the house, everything needs to be legal. Everything needs to be permitted. The reason why I say that is, if the insurance company is not going to cover your house, then the bank's not going to cover your house. So now your finance falls over. Finance condition, that's a case-by-case scenario. Just depends on what your bank's instructions are.
Oh, no, that's awesome. So, like, Pat himself, he's a real, what's the word now? So, like, he's really big on obviously celebrating wins and at times to his clients. So, obviously, if you follow him on his social media, he posts up a lot of pictures as well as videos of his clients, obviously cutting the bow and being introduced into their new property. So, like, say that's the end point, right, Pat, of them cutting the bow. How long is your general process from when you, like, the first discussions to when they finally get to step into their house?
There'll be that 10 working day period. But normally most of the buyers that I'm working with in this market, we're probably looking with some buyers for about 2, 3, 4, 5 months. So the time period could be a lot longer, or I could have just met them yesterday and we sold them the house tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So it can be dependent on, it's a case-by-case scenario. But majority of the people that I've met, especially in this market, it's really hard to find a house, especially with the lack of listings, and then you've got the prices, like...
Yeah, they're being
where I was bidding on this property in Mangere Bridge.
Yeah. So
Knowing like the market there, you think, I was thinking like maybe 1.1 max. So it's sold for like 1.310.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Yeah, man.
yeah, I'm just gonna take a walk. See ya.
No. So Mangere Bridge, it's weird, man. It's like it's almost disconnected from South Auckland.
Yeah.
It's like part of Central Auckland.
Yeah.
With the pricing there, but I guess anything where there's a bit of a view as well as water nearby,
Yeah.
the price is always going to be up. My mate that I work with, he bought a 2BD and bought it for like 1.1.
Oh, you're way.
But like that's in 2BD. But the property is massive. Yeah, Mangere Bridge. And it's but it was like really recently done up, furnished and everything, and good property, and it's all blocked off. But it's massive, massive sitting room. I mean, he can make the space for a third bedroom, but I think it's just him and his missus at the moment. So I think it's like a long-term property for them, especially with their relationship.
Land.
Massive land.
Oh.
Like a decent sized land.
Not massive.
Not massive.
Bigger
But
than here.
I reckon probably around the same.
Okay.
Same size.
Yeah.
But I think it was like he bought it like straight out of the
Lockdown.
second lockdown, where everyone was hunting for houses.
Yeah.
Especially in the Maguia Le Bridge area, so
It's like an extension of Only Hunger now, eh?
solid, pretty much, man. It's like not even part of South Auckland when you're looking at the listings there. You click South Auckland, the Mangere Bridge never comes up. And then you move the cursor up for the range. That's when you see Maguia Le Bridge and solely.
Just chuck on 500,000. Oh, there's Mangere Bridge.
Bro. Yeah, no. But it's that's awesome. Also, from a buyer's perspective, what's factors or what's things that they should be looking for that's not included within the property? Or what are some determining factors that people they obviously make the property more valuable?
Yep.
And what are some determining factors that have like sealed the deal for families in terms of buying that property?
Yeah. Again, I think it's like a case by case scenario on people's budgets.
Yeah.
One thing to always take into account is the cladding. I think the cladding is important.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I mean by the cladding is like what is the house made of? If you're looking at plaster houses, make sure you do a little bit more research around it. They normally tend to sell a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
But that's because the plaster houses have got that perception of
Leaky homes.
Yeah, leaky homes.
Yeah.
So those are the things to take into account. When you're looking at plaster houses, also just check what year it was built. But again, if you've got those 4 team members behind you, have a chat to your building inspector. He'll be able to give you advice around it. Check if it's got cavity, if it's plaster. Check if it's what year it was built. Has anyone done a building inspection report? Has the owners done a building inspection report? However, don't rely on the building inspection report from the owner. I definitely recommend you get your own guy in there. So just double check everything. Other factors when people are looking, I think main thing is just get on the ladder. That's probably the best recommendation I can make. A lot of the families that were looking around Central that I helped 3-4 years ago that have bought out in Manurewa now, a lot of I've resold their houses now and they've made 200,000-300,000 on top of what they made over that time period. It's pretty hard to save 300,000-400,000 over the that amount of time. But now they can move up or upgrade, and now they can move into that sort of central area that they're wanting to buy in. So it's taking those things into account. The family I helped in recently, they were restricted on their budget. They could only stay below 600.
Yeah.
Just sold them a house last Friday. But they bought not the ideal location for them, but it's something they can add value to, and then they're going to move out in the next 3 to 4 years. So we've got a sort of long-term plan.
Yeah.
So they're going to sell that up or hold it as a rental and use the equity and then buy into Mangere.
And it's real good that that you're sharing this knowledge with us. At the same time, like ever since I've just had a chat with you in terms of buying a property, been doing heaps of research myself.
That's
and,
good.
What Pat was just talking about is a property yield. It's what you can get back within your property in an X amount of time. So with most of our first home buyers, if you're looking to probably go into a house long term, make that your first home, that's awesome. But I think the trouble that we have in South Auckland is finding a property that would obviously
Cater to your family and
no, not only that, but like what you're saying, it's going to be hard for us moving forward to find a house that's going to give you 200, 300, 400k. Like you said, even though the market's unpredictable, unpredictable at the moment, but it's just like I think this time is just unprecedented.
Yeah,
like
it is.
like I don't ever,
Never seen
I
it
can't
happen
never,
like this.
yeah man, like I can't see myself in 3-4 years making that amount of money
Yeah.
in another property. So make sure that we do our research.
Yeah.
Another thing that I found that's real cool as well that you guys do now on your website is that you list the different facilities, you list the different schools, you list the different not properties but like say like the parkways, the parks, different things, different aesthetic values that are not obviously associated directly with the property but will help to bring the property value up. That's another thing as well probably that most first home buyers, if they're looking to resell it later on, they start to look into as well. So
if you can hold it long term, that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
But obviously people's families increase and then their scenarios or their circumstances change. If you get into that scenario, I mean, if there is like any way you can keep the property, I always try and get people to keep it if they can. But obviously people's circumstances change, they need to move central or they need to move out west, or don't know why you'd want to move out west, but
now it's funny that you said that because what I want to highlight is that like you said, like we both agreed, it's unprecedented times. This profit that you can make like 300, 400k in 4 years. Like moving forward, I don't think that the market is gonna ever give you that amount of back in this time, but like you said, it's a long-term investment, right? Or if you can hold down onto that property, say 10, 20 years, it might actually happen. We can't guarantee that, obviously.
Can't guarantee it.
It's unpredictable. But like where you're saying, man, most of our houses, they have to be long-term properties or long-term investments.
And I think the people that bought 2, 3, 4 years ago, the ones that I've resold their houses, like there was no guarantee that they were going to make that amount, but they just lucked out where the market, not lucked out, but the market just worked in their favor that we can't control. It just happened to go up in that 3 years.
Look at back then, like when you were first dealing with like say like first home buyers, like it was 20% that you had to put down on the table, man. Like you're talking 20% and it's like say a 600k house, like no person.
120.
Like that's crazy, man. Like who would have 120 sitting in there? I mean, you might have those people that have been working like 20, 30, 40 years, but man, like but like
when
the game
started, it was 5%.
Kiwi said but that
No.
just
everyone. Oh no, all the first home buyers were 5% when I first started.
Jeez. Oh, and then obviously National went into government, and then
National went and increased it.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh no, it was National. Sorry.
Yeah.
So they went and chucked that up to 20%.
Because remember we started getting a lot of overseas interest.
Yeah, heaps.
And
of
then obviously
interest.
like they were just trying to capitalize on that, and they put it up. But I think that was another thing as well. Was 20% was just too
much,
way too much. And it's awesome to see like that the 10% has come into effect, and like heaps of our young brown families are like looking
taking advantage of it, making the most of it.
And like you've probably come in touch with a lot of them. A lot of people have been like renting for like maybe 10, 20 plus years, and finally have that chance just because
to go and buy a house.
It's lowered down to 10%. And I've seen some documentaries, or not documentaries, but just little video snippets that people have put online. I think the likes of the news outlets have like touched on it. A lot of people who've just been renting are just like happy making the move. And it's obviously it's
so cheap now with interest rates.
And it's your money that you've worked for and you've grinded away for, man. So that's awesome to see like a lot of brown families, or just families in general, Kiwi families, buying their first home, mate. And
we in South Auckland, we predominantly work with that sort of first home buyer market and investor market. Those are like our main sort of market that you're dealing with. You're around that Manurewa, Mangere, Papatoe, Otara side. It's mainly first home buyers, or you're dealing with investors. It's one or the other.
And one of the, I think I was pretty sure it was you, was one of the best advices you've given me over in terms of this process of looking to buy a house. It's just get your foot in the door. Like even though, like you said, it might not be the ideal property, but
It's the castle.
yeah.
It builds towards the castle.
Yeah, builds towards the castle, man. You know, you need the stairs, right, to get
Yeah,
towards the
I know.
castle. So that's just another stepping stone on the housing market. But like I said, you've got to look at it like a long-term investment, eh? Because if
100%.
you're like trying to make that kind of profit over the 3, 4, 5 year span, even 10 years, you got to have a long-term vision, especially
Yep.
with it being your first property.
Yeah.
Well, we quickly brushed on it. So what's the difference between unconditional purchasing of a house and an auction?
Oh yeah. So you mean like?
Oh, so like how you were saying, like how you
Oh, like a conditional
yeah,
offer.
sorry,
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
conditional,
So conditional offer is, like for example, you have a house to sell. I give you an offer, and it's going to be subject to my building report, my bank saying yes, my lawyer saying yes, and whatever other checks if I want to go and test your house for drugs. If I want to do any meth tests, just in case you're being naughty. So that's the conditional offer. If it goes through all those conditions and everyone says, yeah, good to go, I can declare unconditional. Unconditional means obviously no conditions, all the conditions have been satisfied. I can go unconditional, and that's when we put the sold sticker up and then take a photo with you and your family at the front of the signboard. Then you've got the settlement period after that, that's when you move in. So you give the family that's living in that house, or give your family X amount of time to move out, and then we move in. At an auction, we do a 3 to 4 week campaign. In 4 weeks time, you come to the auction, you put your hand up. You might not have done a building inspection report, you might have only checked a limb report, because there's no guarantee that you're going to win that house at auction. So you might not have done a building inspection report, because if you go and pay for a building inspection report, you've now paid $600 or $650 to get a building inspector through to go and do the inspection report for you, and then you've lost that money now because come to auction, someone outbid you. So that's the risk you take with auctions. But unfortunately, in this market, I'd say 80% of houses are going to auction at the moment.
and that's just the seller's interest there, like best interest.
Yeah, because obviously they want to see what the best unconditional offer is on the day. So there are two differences. The conditional offer, you can only make a conditional offer on price by negotiation or priced houses or deadline sale. With auctions, you have to be approved unconditionally by your bank. You're happy with it, your lawyer's happy with everything, your team's still there behind you, but just remember the cost behind it, there's no guarantee that you'll win at the auction, so that's the risk you take. I tend to go with auctions. Personally, I don't do building inspection reports, but that comes with experience. I'll look at the house. I'm not a building inspector myself, but I'll look at the house. If it looks sound, it feels sound, I've had a look underneath the house, and I know what main things to look for. Then I won't get a building inspection report, I'll just bid at the property. But for first home buyers, I do recommend you get the building inspection reports, but maybe just get like a verbal, because verbal is half the price of a full written report. So it's $300, but just remember, $300, you still no guarantee that you'll win.
So with that, do you still work within the parameters that the bank or your mortgage broker gives you?
Still work within the parameters.
Okay.
So, for example, if you've got a mortgage broker or your bank, go back to them and say, hey, I'm quite keen to bid at this auction. Then they'll say, okay, we can't bid at the auction. We need you to satisfy the conditions of your finance. And then you'll go back and then say, okay, I need a auction agreement, or I need to get a building inspection report, or I might need to look at the lim, or I need to check the title. So those things will come into play. And then if the bank comes back and says, yep, you're all good to go after 2 weeks, then you've still got time before the auction. If the auction's tomorrow and you haven't got approval from the bank, please don't go and just bid at the auction. They will check with your bank first. The last thing you want to do is have to forfeit your deposit because you didn't check with your bank or you didn't check with your team of 4 people.
That's awesome advice, man. We'll quickly. Sorry, it feels like you've been talking too much and I've been asking too many questions. It's awesome to get this knowledge from you, man. And I don't mean in a disrespectful way that you're talking too much, but I just don't want to let this drag on for you. But The reason why I want to get as much information off you is because these are the questions that I went through, and I'm just grateful that I had you as a friend to like, obviously let you provide me with your knowledge, but as well as your time to actually go through all of our questions, and like the amount of questions that you probably get on a daily basis regarding any purchase of any house, man. It's awesome to have you on board, as well as, you know, just your patience, man, because I'm sure you probably get the same questions over and over.
Happy to help though.
And that's always been one characteristic that I've always admired about yourself, is you're always willing to help, man. And I think it's just more of an indication of the type of upbringing that you've had. I'll just quickly ask a few more questions, and then we'll wrap up. But one thing that I've seen you through your real estate journey is that you've obviously changed. I won't say allegiances, but you've changed between the different real estate companies.
Yep.
Is that that one? Yeah. So is there any reasons for that, or is there like
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Can you explain what the?
Yeah, I started with Harcourts first, so I started with them back in 2015.
Yeah, I know there was a sign there. Kind of later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a sign right there at who.
Yeah.
And every time we drive past, we'd have to, you know, forcibly see. But yeah, carry on.
Sorry guys. It's the real one, but
Bro, cracking it.
I started there for 2-3 years. That one was probably more of a blind one. My mate was at Harcourts, and I was like, I'll just join Harcourts.
Yeah.
Good brand, great company. But that company actually, the franchise closed down.
Oh, okay.
So they went into receivership. So yeah, I had to leave. They didn't really have a choice.
Nice.
And then I went to another company. It was actually like a real low commission company, but I went there because they had like technological advances that I was real keen and like to learn about. Because for me, I wanted to see, oh man, like I always want to know how I can make myself more efficient. I won't know by sticking with a sort of traditional franchise or a traditional company. So I was keen to go and see how these cats were going to be.
Was that Aristo?
Aristo, yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to them for about 12 months. To be honest, income-wise,
Wasn't that great?
nah, and working there, you still work 7 days a week. It was a lot more efficient, but you're still putting in the same mahi, so that doesn't change. Then I moved to Ray White AT Realty, so they own 4 offices around South Auckland, but I'd say they're probably the strongest brand out south, so I was keen to sort of align myself with top real estate company out here. But after aligning with them and seeing the support they have, along with the technological advances I learned from Aristo, just become like the perfect fit. Yeah.
Nice.
Great team that we have there, and like I said before, I've met being able to work alongside my the other Poly brothers that are there too. We're all sort of with one company now, all at Ray White, so it's good. We're all at different companies all over the place, but we've all sort of come together now. We're all under sort of that one umbrella.
Yeah.
So it's
Joined forces.
Yeah,
awesome.
joined forces, so it's cool.
So with obviously like being self-employed, is there any like instances of competitiveness in terms of like getting this seller, getting clients like between agents? Oh, okay. And does it get testy, or what's it like?
It can. To be honest, it can. The industry is pretty cutthroat, eh?
Yeah.
But for me, the way I've always seen it is, I won't talk badly about my competitors, and if I go in, as long as I can go back home to my family and sleep at night knowing, okay, I didn't drop my morals, I didn't drop my ethics, but you'll be surprised.
Yep.
Be shocked.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, you know you're from the South Ales.
Yeah.
But you see some things and you hear some things, but for me, like, if I can go back and know, sweet.
Oh man, at the end of the day, that's the only person you have to wake up to and go to sleep to is yourself, man.
Yep.
So look at yourself in the mirror and like I get what you mean, man, because money and greed is downfall for all men, you know.
Yep.
So You know, sometimes people can get competitive over the dollar, but like you said, man, as long as you don't drop your morals.
100%.
Nah, cool, man. And thank you for sharing some of your knowledge and giving us insight in terms of the housing market, as well as obviously how to purchase, and giving us your different perspectives around purchasing a house. We'll quickly wrap up, but we normally have a section here where we just have some quick fire questions.
Yep.
Obviously it won't be that quick fire, but it'll be like, say, a couple of questions that I want to ask you, and then you give me just your best answers. So we'll answer some, we'll ask some quick fire questions. First one, what was it like, what was your first difficult situation like in terms of working within being a real estate agent? What was that like?
Yeah, it was my first difficult one. I'd have to say would have been going up against another agent for the first time ever. Definitely my hardest one. Came back, said that, oh no, he's just a newbie. Don't go with that guy. He's only just started in the industry. To hear that straight away, I was just like kind of thrown back, and I was like, oh. I told that I did the opposite, so I kind of used that to fuel me getting in. You know, Kiwis, they love the underdog. And I just told them, oh, to be honest, I'm broke, but I reckon I'll work 5 times as hard as the guy that's going up against me. Ended up listing that house as my first listing.
Nice.
And I went up against their next door neighbour, so it was pretty awkward seeing the neighbour every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was good.
No, that's awesome, man. You gotta, everyone's got, you know, every dog has its day.
Yeah.
Like you're saying,
I know.
all those no's leads you to
That's
that
the
one
one.
yes. Right?
That's the one.
Awesome. If you were to sell a house to someone, like an ideal person, who would it be? Or if you were to sell someone's house,
Yep.
a famous person's house, who would it be?
Oh, I don't know whether they own houses in Auckland. Kono?
Huh?
John Kono?
Yeah, he's the man. He's the man.
Does he stay in Auckland?
I know he's overseas, but I'm
Does
pretty
he
sure
own-
they got
does he own
properties.
it? Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure he's got properties.
Yeah, they
in
was.
Auckland. Yeah, man.
Hit me up.
Hit him up. No, man. Bro, what's your favorite? Obviously, you're going through this massive fitness change at the moment. Avid follower of Pat's work with his Fit 60, not even Fit 60, sorry, his F.45 stuff. So it's awesome to see you jump on board, because I know Tina and her girls there,
They go hard.
Fit Freaks, eh?
Yeah, Fit Freaks.
And
man.
now it's awesome to see you jump on board. You just come off
45-day challenge.
45-day challenge, yeah, man, looking really good.
Train tools.
What was your first?
My first meal.
Your first meal. What was your first day like? So like,
Oh, so I ended up going to a Korean barbecue place out in Botany.
Yep.
It's pretty good, but I'd say for me it was probably having that first sip.
Was it the weekend just gone?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was my first weekend back. Had a bit of a blowout weekend.
Yeah.
Had a lot on. Had a stag, breakup, everything.
Yeah. Awesome.
But back on the train.
The train. Oh, bro.
Have to.
I'm still
That's us.
booking my ticket to pick up the train.
Still, it's always a progress. Just
Yeah,
gotta
man.
do day one.
Yeah. Oh, bro. Once you start, man, don't stop, man. What's your favorite home cooked food? My mum.
Oh, have to be sop sui.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that with the kalu or is that with the rice?
Oh, nah. Galo.
Kalu, eh?
Yeah, have to.
Yeah. Nothing better than finding
Dad's
food.
oka. Yeah. Dad's oka.
Man, everyone's gonna probably hate me, but man, I can't do seafood, eh?
Oh, bro. Oh, you're missing
Bro,
out.
you know what's even worse is that my dad makes at church he is the #1 oka maker, but he does the old school, the thick pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
everyone
have to make it also.
he likes so everyone loves his oka, but it was just the way we grew up, eh? Like my parents here were pretty sad, man. So sad.
Oh, they didn't make oka for you, just a church?
They made oka for church. They didn't cause my uncle was the minister at our church that we were at, so we're always over at his house, and he'll always make oka for them. But it was like, you know, we'd never try it because no, that's for the 50 hour. No, it's for the oldies. And then bloody see my daughter bloody eating oka before me, man. Like she loves it. And my dad's like,
So
yeah.
I'll pick up your orca next time. Next time.
Oh, bro.
I'll stop in and grab some.
Nah, let me know, man. Let me know when you're
Wait to my openings.
Yeah, man. Or when you have your opening as well, or even
Oh,
this
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
this side of Christmas. Let me know what your what's a good
Plans are.
day. Yeah, and then
Yep.
came up. You know, it'd be good to do something with my old man and bring it over, man.
Yeah,
But,
for sure. We can.
So what's your go-to hangover food, bro? I know me and you a bit of had some bit of
The hangover
it's like-
food's my downfall.
yeah. Oh,
That's bro.
So-
My go-to for hangover food is probably the most accessible food I can find.
yeah.
Uber Eats is
Uber Eats.
bro.
Honestly,
Whoever created Uber Eats,
Yeah.
deadly.
I'm telling you, it's like when I was like doing the challenge that I was just on, man. Like I deleted and reinstalled Uber Eats so many times. It's so funny.
Bro, Uber
Yeah,
Eats is dangerous.
That's dangerous, man. And like they chucked what do you call it? They chucked choice on there. Little Abners. I was like,
Everything.
bro, everything's accessible now through Uber Eats.
So yeah, I'm a seafood lover. So when it comes to hangover food, like my first go-to is orca, mussels, raw mussels,
Yeah.
and oysters.
Do you check out that place down in not far from you? The one in Toby's?
Yeah. Okay,
shout
Toby's.
out to Toby's, man.
Toby's, man.
Oh, I'm not into
honestly,
seafood, but man, I know heaps of people that
straight
go
away,
there.
grab the fry bread,
Yeah.
grab the orca, everything. Eh?
Yeah,
You
nice.
think I was buying for a whole family, but just buying for myself.
Bro, honestly, man, that's the killer with us, man. Like, I don't, honestly, man, mad respect to our white brothers out there, man. I don't know how you guys drink on an empty stomach and then just wake up and just not eat, like.
Yeah, and then
Man.
just chill for the rest
Just
of the day.
generally, like, or even if they have a little snack, done. But man,
Some
me,
celery sticks and
I have
some
to go
hummus.
sleep. Before I go sleep, I have to have a feed. When I wake up, I have to have a
another feed.
Yeah, man. Like,
And then have a nap and then have another feed.
that's it, bro. Man, and that's bro. Yeah, like you said, it's the hangover eating that catches you, man. And little do you know, bro, you've already stacked on 4 servings of bad food all in one hit, bro.
You might be doing like real good the whole week and
Oh,
then drink
yep.
on Saturday and then Sunday, you just ate like a week's worth of takeaways.
Man, like so another question, man. What's your favorite drink, man?
Coke Zero, eh?
Coke Zero.
Yeah, even when it comes to drinking,
Yep.
like Coke Zero with Jim
Everything.
Beam, like whiskey, any whiskey,
Yep.
Jim Beam or Maker's Mark.
Maker's
But yeah,
Mark,
I'm
yep.
Coke Zero all day.
So you're a bourbon guy as well.
Yeah, bourbon guy.
Yep. Nice.
I know you guys big on your bourbons too.
Oh yes,
But
yes,
you,
and
you
no,
come off it a bit.
Yeah, I'll come off for like I'll drink it like only if it's mixed, like
Yeah.
like how you do it, and has to be like Coke Zero. I'm Coke no sugar and the bourbons, yeah. But I'm a massive JD's fan right now, eh? Like
Yeah.
I do hit the long whites now and then, but
Doesn't
like,
hit the spot for me.
nah,
eh?
it's a leisure drink, man. It's just a good sip, stay and play drink. But as soon
Yeah.
as you start jumping on the hot bottles,
Yeesh.
yeah,
Game
it's
over.
trouble.
That's where we end up in town. eh?
Slowly. You know what's funny, man? Now that we're talking about drinking growing up, you know how many times I used to bump into your A-Way, bro?
Oh yeah, I know
So
all the
like,
time.
literally every time after the Thursday nights, and then we'll just be in the car park, just
Yeah.
catching up.
Having
And it's
a few-
funny. That's probably like one of the first times I got to know you hard out there. Was
Yeah.
just after the night, cause
Shout out to Awi.
shout out to A-Way, man.
The good old times.
Good old times. Honestly, A-Way is still one of the only places that I know like the line, it was ridiculous,
Yeah.
just to get in.
Just
And it was,
getting-
and it was
it's like different age groups always.
yeah,
eh?
man. And it was Southside,
Yeah.
like that's like deep in the hood, man. Like I hid away in Mangry, and like people from out west, out central.
They don't know, man.
And
This
those-
generation don't
oh,
know. Eh?
This generation doesn't know, but all those generation above these guys, you know, the central and the west sides, they used to come away and talk smack about Southside. And I used to see you guys
all the way just to come away.
all the way come away and go all the way home, and man, and you know, like that was my weak set, bro. Once I started away, and then because that was our uni years.
Yeah,
as well,
our
but
uni
that was
years, that was
dangerous. That was dangerous, man.
Thursday, away. I won't mention the other places afterwards.
So that's back in the day when you used to go all the way to 7 in the morning, eh? Like,
Yeah.
that's when it was used to close, eh?
Now I have to go 7 p.m. at night. I have to recover for like 2-3 days now.
So age does, bro. I'm on the same boat as you, brother. Sweet, man. And so it's just our final question for a quick fire, man. Like, give us 3 words to describe your journey within the real estate game.
Yeah.
Obviously, from where you started, from when you were hustling the 4,000 letters right up to now, where you've now sold over hundreds of houses, man. Give us 3 words, bro.
Clients first, always. It's always been the mantra behind my work.
Yeah.
And that's what's always built my business from day one. Can do all the processes and everything like that. Try and focus on the gimmicky stuff, but if you don't have that down packed, then your business won't grow.
Awesome. Just for our followers out there, man, where can they find you?
IG, Salesman _Pat. Facebook, just Pat Lapalapa Real Estate. Twitter, I think it's at Pat
Is that your
Lapalapa.
business or your shady one?
Oh, nah. I converted my shit one to the business one.
Some of your tweets used to be funny as bro, but
I converted that one to the business one.
You
so
know the eyes emoji? Pat was one of the first ones to use it, bro. Crack up hard out. Oh, but yeah, man. Well, Twitter's changed, man, and you gotta change with the times.
Yeah, you gotta
bro.
change with
now
the
that you're a
times.
businessman, bro, you gotta.
Bro, heaps of people still hitting me up on IG and like, bro, you've come so far from Twitter.
Yeah,
days.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, fuck.
Bro, because it's honestly, some of the tweets you used to put up were hella funny, man.
Well, but just those.
Yeah, bro. That's what I mean. The eyes, bro. That's where I first used to see it, man, on pet stuff. But everyone uses it now. But back then, I used to just crack up big. But
Good times.
Yeah, good times, man. Nah, sweet. So that's where you can find Pat. But leave us with a quote, man. Before we wrap up, like what's obviously with what you've shared with us tonight, you've dropped some dimes in terms of quotes. But just for anyone in general that might be listening or might be following, man. What's one quote that's probably been massive within your growth as a person, and you want to share with anyone?
Is it the 3 of them?
No, just any quote in
just
general.
any quote.
Yeah.
Do the mahi, get the treats.
Do the mahi, get the treats.
I don't know, yeah.
But
I think that's pretty much like, I'm always saying, I gotta do the mahi. I'm always saying that.
That's awesome. You know, do the mahi, get the treats, man. And I think that's
William Waidua.
William Waidua. Respect.
Sir William Waidua. Shout-outs.
Yeah, shout out to William Waidua as well. Because and that's one thing that I've gathered just from our interaction tonight, and just in general, man. Like, like the lifestyle that you live right now, it's just a result of the hard work that you've put in, and it's like I said at the beginning of the show, man. It's a privilege, but at the same time, like I've so much respect for you also in the work that you do, and seeing the way that you've impacted our people and looking to give back to our people. With the initiative that you've started with the Brown Brothers and the Ray White umbrella, man, it's awesome that you guys are doing this. And feel free to message Pat in terms of obviously nominating people for that grocery giveaway that they're doing on a weekly basis. It's not about trying to highlight someone else's struggles, but it's trying to give them some sort of confidence, some sort of security during these unprecedented times, especially with Christmas coming around the corner. The last thing that we want to do as brown brothers and sisters is see other people struggling and not make them aware of the opportunities that the likes of Pets and his boys are doing, but as well as different people around our community. So again, it was massive love and respect for you and your grind. And is there any wedding bells? And I'm pretty sure that's probably what Tina wants me to ask.
Probably hinting right now, probably scratching her woolly like, man, someone's talking about me. But yeah, bro. Oh yeah, definitely got to make some plans coming forward. But stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. Oh, nice, sweet as.
Thanks for having me on.
Nah, man. Oh, massive shout out to Pat and his team. obviously what they're doing in the community is awesome, but as well as to all the people out there that are tuning in tonight, you can follow us on through Tolan Apparel. Feel free to chuck in any suggestions or any comments, and like I said, Pat's put up his Instagram, Facebook, and his Twitter, so feel free to reach out to him. And I know this personally, that he's got more than enough time to help you out, and he's got more than enough patience. So I know this will help a lot of people out there that are looking to become first-time buyers. If you are, Pat's your guy. So thanks again for coming on board tonight. And yeah, tune in next week, and thank you again. See you later.
See ya.